Bienvenidos, señoras y señores, to another episode of the Bleed Los podcast. Estamos en vivo en la carne asada. Before we get things started, let's get the business out of the way. This episode of the Bleed Los podcast is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball to the NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering, BetOnline. The game starts here. Bienvenidos, sangrones, and joining us on the live is, of course, the regulars, your favorites, Canelo the Gambler, Carlos the Gambler, and Babyface. Look, I see the comments on here that it's been a long time since we've done a live. I mean, look, there's been a lot of celebrations that we've had to do. So I do want to address some of the comments here, and that is, Roy Estrada calling me out, because I said the show pods were going to beat the Doyers. Look, I'll take the L. I will gladly take the L on that one. I will say this. If you listen to Mookie's podcast, both Mookie and Dave Roberts said that was their World Series, that the NLDS against the show pods was their World Series. So the Doyers, they did it, and they proved me wrong. All this time, I was afraid of the banana in the tailpipe. Turns out I didn't need to be afraid of the banana in the tailpipe. So the banana in the tailpipe can officially be retired. Okay, so you guys know how this works, okay? If you guys want to move to the front of the line with your comments, make sure the way you do that is with a super chat. You can go ahead and send us a super chat. We're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. I know, Canelo, you hosted right after the game, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So a lot of work went into the entire month of October. Me and Carlos were kind of talking about it before we went live here, where, when the team goes on a deep run, and you cover the team, and no matter what type of capacity that is, whether you're podcasting, writing about it, still trying to do stories and all that stuff, it is a grind, no matter if we're doing it or if any other page is doing it as well. So, I mean, kudos to everybody that's been involved, that's a Dodgers fan like us, like all four of us here that covered the team and still did the live stream. So, and yeah, it was awesome to, talk about the game, talk about them after they won the World Series, the first time since 2020. And, it felt, in the back of my head, I loved the way the 2020 season felt, because I've never seen the Dodgers win the World Series before. But seeing them do it in a full season and able to celebrate as a team on the field, in the locker room, and, a couple days later have the parade, even though I'm watching it, live stream all the way here on the East Coast, I can feel that energy and that sense of relief. And I mean, I don't think they're done anytime soon, and we're definitely going to get into that, but it was awesome to talk about that. And kind of a whole thing of the season was kind of, the roller coaster ride. We all lost a little bit of faith. I mean, myself included. And, they ended up doing it all. They ended up winning the World Series. But yeah, it was a great night to talk about the game.
And you know what? I want to defend Juan Rosewood here, because I honestly, I know I said it on one of the podcasts, and I strongly believe that to this day, that the World Series was the Dodgers against the Padres. And I strongly believe that if the Padres had beaten the Dodgers, the Padres would have won the World Series. So those were the two best teams coming out of the West, and I'm glad that we came up on top, and the rest. Look, the rest. It looked like the Mets had a chance, but it really didn't. It looks like the Yankees had a chance, but they really didn't. So it was the Padres who made the Dodgers go to Game 5, and they were the second better team in my opinion. And I'm just glad we're on top. And yeah, I'll definitely defend Juan that the Padres were scary, but I know Cody and Roger and I we had Dodgers back. So Rosewood, go ahead.
Look, to me, looking back at it, I'm still scratching my head. How the hell did the Metropolitans win 2 games against the Dodgers? Like looking at how the rest of this playoff, I will say this: I think the World Series was a lot closer than most people think. I know it ended in 5, but those were close games. And if the Yankees just, I mean, the Yankees were the Yankees. I mean, look, Mariachi Joe, friend of the carne asada, he laid it out there. They had the report, they had the scouting report on them. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm still happy. It's been 2 weeks since it happened. I know that the whole 2020 thing, it still irks me that people still give that shit to the Dodgers for winning the World Series that any other team could have won also. I don't know what their excuse is, but I think what was very glaring to me was they got to celebrate and they got to do things that they weren't able to do in 2020. I do want to, before we talk about the parade and the rally and all that stuff, Babyface, is there anything else that you want to add about the World Series?
No, I mean, I think, it was great to see, right? Some of the players you mentioned this, like, to finally kind of, put a rest to that 2020 narrative. Like, like you guys mentioned, like, we've heard many players say this, like, everybody had a chance in 2020, right? And yes, it was a short season. That's how things just laid out, right? Because of everything that happened, and everybody had a chance. You still even had to play the most games in the postseason once you got there to win it. So, everything that they went through, going in a hotel for a month, and to me that seemed harder, right? I mean, during that time, weren't you guys all like, oh crap, like I can't do this, I can't, like, you were cautious of what you're doing right now. Imagine trying to play in the sport and trying to play baseball, and all these guys had to do that and being locked up somewhere. So, for me, that was a very valid title. But now, winning in 2024, there's no excuse, right? I mean, nobody can say nothing now. Like, I know I've heard dumb people like trying to say like, oh, well, they bought a championship. Well, first it was, what was it at the beginning of the season? Oh, you paying all that much money.
And they're going to get bounced in the first round.
First round. Now that they won, and it's like, oh, it's because you guys paid all that much. Like, come on, just give it up. The Dodgers won it all in 2024, full season, and yes, any team wants good players, right? And if you have good ownership, they're going to go spend money. That's what the Dodgers have done. That's what the Dodgers are going to continue to do, and every team has that option to do that. And don't give me this small market stuff, because every team's owner has money. Every team, guarantee you, or else they wouldn't be owning that baseball team. If they're not making money, they wouldn't be owning that baseball team. They would get rid of it. So every team has a shot to go after guys. So, it is what it is. But now 2024, you can't say anything about it now.
No, I enjoy drinking all the haters' tears. I really do, because it's like, hey, go talk to the Athletic guys. Go talk to everyone that said that the Yankees had a better pitching staff, and that was going to be the difference, right? And look, I was the first one to tell you guys that I was worried about the pitching. So this whole idea that they had bought a championship at the beginning of the postseason, all the experts were saying the Dodgers didn't have enough pitching. So this whole idea that they bought a championship, look, come on, let's be realistic. At the beginning, everyone was ready to use the excuse that they didn't, it's because of all the injuries. If they would have been healthy, then, they would have, and they still pulled it off. So it's going to happen, and get used to it, because we're probably going to hear it for the next couple of years. If this really is the beginning of a Dodgers run, you're going to hear the nonstop, they bought a championship. They bought a championship. I do want to ask you this, Canelo, because I know you're always so aware of everything. The minute Buehler struck out Verdugo, did you think of Verdugo's comments about the 2020 World Series?
Yes. Yeah, I did. I think, if there is a God and a scriptwriter up there, he made it. I feel like all of it came together in that final inning. The Dodgers win essentially in a bullpen game, because Jack Flaherty just didn't have his dog in him that day. And we all thought, we were going to be forced to game 6. Bullpen comes in, shuts the door, doesn't allow any other runs to kind of come across there. The offense, they come back, they tie the game. I'm counting down. I'm talking to my friends. I said, look, Buehler's going to get into this game. I was like, they have nobody left. I was like, I don't want to see Daniel Hudson in. And this is before we knew that, he was basically a pitch away from blowing out his elbow, and he ended up retiring after the game anyway. And I was just like, he's not going to pitch in 3 straight games. They already went to the big dogs. Blake Triton's asked to get 2+ innings of work.
Dude, they left him out there to die.
Yeah, I don't know, because it was a stressful time, because it was like Dave Roberts didn't really have any other, guys to go to. It was either, have Trinan finish this, or you bring Walker Buehler when things are a little hairy. And I don't think, maybe it wouldn't be the same if Buehler comes into a situation, bottom of the 8th inning, like runners on the corners or second and third. So credit to Trinan getting out of that inning. But writing was on the wall that Buehler was going to come in and close that game out. And I just think it's funny because the season he had, and I wrote about it on Dodgers Beat, where it was a roller coaster. I covered the team the day when they were in Philly, and everybody kind of didn't know where Buehler was. He went AWOL at that point. He even mentioned with David Vassegh post game, he thought he was going to get cut from the team. And that was kind of the vibes that we all had. We were like, is he even going to make the postseason roster? We talked with Robbie Hyde, where I was like, is this guy going to get traded? Are they going to DFA him? Are they going to move on? They have a plethora of pitching. He's kind of the guy on the outside looking in, and you see what happens in September. Gavin Stone goes down with season-ending shoulder surgery. Tyler Glass now has the elbow strain. Yamamoto's still kind of on like a pitch count limit, and the door just opened for Buehler. And I even said, in the postseason preview way back in the beginning of October, I said, this guy, you got to count on him to be somewhat of a form of himself. And minus, the first game of the postseason where his defense didn't really help him out too much, he pitched really good. He had the shutout in New York against the Mets in Citi Field. Then he has the shutout against the Yankees, and then he closes the World Series out. And honestly, I don't think it could have went to anybody else, in terms of, what he's went through. I mean, a lot of stuff. It's not just the Tommy John surgery he went. He underwent multiple surgeries on his arm, his forearm, and his elbow. And to even be able to come back and pitch at a competitive level, I mean, that just shows his dedication. And I think you can see now, I guess both sides have some type of mutual respect with each other. And I even mentioned in my article, I don't think Andrew Freeman's going to let him sign elsewhere in free agency, just because a lot of what the Dodgers have done in the Andrew Freeman era is coherent with what they've done with Walker Buehler. It was his first round draft pick way back in 2015. So kind of Andrew Freeman's guy right there, and he let him ride it out in the 9th inning, and I don't think he's going anywhere else.
Carlos the Gambler, when things changed for me, when I knew for sure they were winning the World Series, it wasn't after they got past the show pods. I hate to say this, and I know I'm going to be a downer, but when Valenzuela died, I said, there's no way they're not winning the World Series. There is no way. They're going to win, because to lose Valenzuela and then you're going to lose to the Yankees. I mean, it was just there was other stuff going on. That's just weird stuff. I mean, 40 years. I mean, we're talking more than 40 years, but that year, his rookie year, was the World Series against the Yankees. I mean, there's just no way that they were going to lose. And that's when I really became a believer, saying, no, there's something else going on here. They're going to win.
Yeah. And I agree with that statement. I agree with, like, sometimes there's stuff that we can't explain. We can say it's coincidence, and sometimes I say it's not. I have to agree with Michael's comment. There is a God. His name is Jesus. I agree with him. Look, there's just some things that we can't predict. Besides that, we're talking about people saying that we bought this championship. If we bought this championship, Ohtani hit 105. He hit 105 in the World Series. That's what we paid for.
He had a tear, Carlos. He had a tear.
No, I get it.
Up there.
But I'm saying, my argument for those people that are saying that we bought it, he was not a factor in the World Series. Yes, the fact that he elevates everybody's game up, I agree. That's something you can't account for, financially. But we didn't pay for something to hit 105. Glass now didn't even pitch, so we didn't buy this championship. Teoscar, okay, if you're saying that Teoscar is the money that we dropped, he was more of a factor, and so was Yamamoto. So, all this 2024 that we bought it, to me, it's bullshit. And then second of all, when we won it, the moment that we won the game, I just felt like this talk about 2020 is going to be completely over. You could say whatever you want, it doesn't matter. They proved that they're a good team. They did it without Otani being a factor in the World Series. So I don't know what else the Dodgers need to prove, And I agree with, I think, what Cody said. This team is not. I strongly believe this team can win the next 2-3 years. I mean, if we can kind of bolster the starting rotation, this team's unstoppable.
This
This is
was
gonna
the
be
year they weren't supposed to win. That's why I think about it, because I feel like
okay.
you add so many players to come together. It's hard for you to kind of click right away. They did. They faced adversity. They had so many injuries, 19 different starting pitchers this year. They go into the postseason with just 3. Everybody and their mom pretty much picked them to lose in the first round. And I even had my doubts. I looked at the writing on the wall. I looked at the roster and the way it shook up, and the Padres scared the living shit out of me. I looked at their roster 1 through 26. They were, I would say, on paper at the time, better than
But
the Dodgers.
I'm the asshole for picking the show pods.
But I think the Dodgers still won.
Everybody was thinking this on the inside, but I'm the asshole because I said it out loud.
Yeah, I mean,
look, no,
go
you
ahead,
guys are.
Carlos.
I mean, no, I was gonna say. I mean, I don't fault you for picking the Padres. The Padres were a good team. I just felt this year the Dodgers figured out how to take the break, take advantage of the break, and it just worked out this year. There's this, I don't know. I mean, there's this sixth sense that I had the Dodgers were going to figure it out, and the factors at that time, and I mentioned it, was Teoscar and Otani. Those were the factors during the Padres series. Those were two players that didn't participate in the last 2 years, and all the crap that happened with the Dodgers when they couldn't hit anything. So that made a difference. And so Otani and Teoscar during that series were big. And so we were able to pull it off. 5 games. I mean, it went to the end. And I mean the bullpen. The bullpen. I mean, they like we were saying, that's really the MVP was the bullpen.
Yeah.
But you can't give it to.
I will say that I agree with you in the sense that the bullpen, I think has a really strong argument for winning the MVP. But especially when it comes to the World Series, they don't score enough runs without Federico. And to me, I think that is a big difference in why this team won. What Federico went through in this postseason, I don't think the Dodgers in the previous years had that kind of animosity that they had to go through. Because I mean, we all know Federico should have been out 6 to 8 weeks. He had no business playing. If you're someone else on that team and you see what this guy is going through just to play a game, that's some Rocky Balboa shit right there, right? That's something that the Dodgers didn't have the previous 2 years in the first round. I don't want to say that they were shamed, but it's got to mean something to look over and see your teammate is going through all in this. And this is not counting everything that Federico went through off the field up until that point. But that guy was putting in hours just to show up to play in the game as a player, that's got to get you up, right? That's got to be like, all right, well, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to do? So I agree with you, Carlos, that the bullpen plays a large part in this. But in that World Series, Federico offensively carried that team. Without Federico, I don't think they score enough more runs to win those games.
Yeah, those are all valid points. Freddie Freeman clearly was the MVP of the World Series, and, he proved it. And Juan, you mentioned earlier in the episode, those games were a lot closer than what people kind of are going to remember them as. Obviously, the Grand Slam, only down by 1 run, it's going to make things look a little more lopsided than they really were. But the facts were the Dodgers ended that inning losing and were 3 outs away from being down 0-1 in the World Series. Thankfully, Aaron Boone pulled a old Dave Roberts, as our fans would like to say, and he kind of made the wrong decision there. We talked about that in our Game 1 post game. We talked about that even before the series even started. We were like, all right, is Nestor Cortez really the best option here? Well, turns out he wasn't. But, the bullpen obviously was great. The whole team, just collectively, the entire team had a different attitude compared to last year, especially. Definitely a different attitude going against San Diego than they had in 2022. It felt like 2020 because it felt like for those guys, they thought it was their last time that core was going to be together, and they kind of played with so much grit, intensity. I mean, they overcame a 3-1 deficit to the Braves that year, and you kind of saw the same thing this NLDS where, they're down 2-1 in the series, and it didn't look that way, and they rode that momentum all the way to the World Series. So, I mean, there's a lot you can reflect on with this World Series, and I don't think they're done, and that's not me trying to say like a biased Homer fan. You look at the writing on the wall, you look at the roster, the way it's set up. If they don't make a single move right now, which they will, they are still probably the best or second best team on paper. And Fangraphs agrees with that. They're projected with around 95 to 100 wins just with this roster as constructed right now. And we all know they're going to add stuff. We know this is my favorite time of the year, hot stove season, of who they are going to add. And they'll be back here in this situation again. It ain't no Texas Rangers thing where, you make the postseason once every, 5 or 6, 10 years. This is a perennial contender that makes the playoffs every single year. And they're going to have the best shot since the 2021 Dodgers to try to get a World Series in back-to-back years.
So before we get into what this team is going to look like next year, I do just want to wrap things up in terms of the World Series, in terms of the celebration. Okay, because we got two guys here who were at the rally. And I just want to say this, and David wants a taco, fellow Stalloner right there. He gets it. Stalloner bomb. He gets it. All right. I want to say this. I was on the street for the parade, and it was a shit show. And I know that there was a lot of people probably there on the streets on the parade, but I want to say this, and I'm going to take my ire out on Carlos the Gambler because I know he's a season ticket holder, and I know he got access to those tickets for the rally, because I look back and the rally was the place to be. That's where it was, right? Now, at the, being in the parade, we got there, and I took the train from Orange County, right? I took the Metrolink. I left at 8:30. I was supposed to be at Union Station at 9:20. I sit there and I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is plenty of time, right? When I woke up in the morning, my wife's watching the news, and she goes, you're late. You should have already been there because of all the people that were already on the streets. So I show up to the Metrolink, and it's all Dodger fans. It is all Dodger fans at the Anaheim, which is ironic, right? It was the Anaheim stop right in front of the stadium, right? And it's all Dodger fans. The train is 20 minutes late, okay? By the time it gets to Anaheim, we get in there, it's already full of Dodger fans. So I'm assuming those Dodger fans are either coming from Oceanside, maybe they're even coming from San Diego. So, yeah, and I kept hearing all this stuff. There's a lot of Dodger fans in San Diego. I believe it, okay? So we get there. By the time I get to Union Station, it's 10 o'clock. I show up at Grand Park in front of City Hall. It is already a sea of people. You can't see anything. And I had my daughter with me. With a very proud moment, took her out of school to go to the parade. So not only did I take her to an NLCS game and pulled her out of school to go to a parade, I mean, to watch a game, I did it for the parade. So we're there, and she's like, I want to see the buses. I want to see the buses. So I go down there, and it's like we destroyed the planters in front of the courthouse. I felt so bad. There was this poor lady who actually had to go to the courthouse, and there was no way she could get in because the sea of people were blocking the entrance to the courthouse. So we're there. We got a semi-decent spot on the sidewalk, and literally the buses did this. And I'm like, okay, well, that was awesome. We got maybe like less than a minute of footage. I know she got to see her daddy Bonda, but other than that, I was just like, I wish I was at the rally. And the rally was another shit show because I logged on at 11:55 to try to get tickets. And anytime I put tickets in my cart, they were gone. I got an error. So I'm going to turn it over to the guys who were there for the actual rally. Carlos the Gambler, we're going to start off with you. How was your experience?
So I live in the San Fernando Valley, and so we went to the Red Line in North Hollywood, and we jumped on the subway around, I want to say like 8:30 in the morning. And it was so funny because there was these lines of people outside, and I'm like, oh shit, is it backed up from the bottom? Well, it turns out that a lot of Dodger fans never take the subway. So they had they were in line for so long just to try to buy tickets to get in the subway. And sure enough, we went downstairs because I've taken the subway before. So we go downstairs, and the line's a lot shorter because there's a bunch of kiosks right there. And sure enough, just for folks, if you guys want to take the metro next time, you can get it off your iPhone, off wallet. So you can literally, so you know about that, Juan? Real quick, it's
Well,
on your
yeah,
wallet.
because there was a poor guy who was on the train when we got off the Metrolink who was going to go on the subway, and I told him, bro, don't even waste your time. It's a 10-minute walk, if that, from here to City Hall. Just follow the rest of the Dodger fans. We're all going the same place. And that's what we did. We walked from Union Station to City Hall. Now, the rest of you guys who are actually going to the stadium, that's a different story. You go ahead, Carlos. You continue.
Yeah, so we were to get our tickets. We jump on the subway, and I think we're in downtown by like 9 o'clock in the morning. My son, his girlfriend, and his friend jump off on Pershing Square because they're going to hang out and watch the parade because I didn't only have 4 tickets because I had sold the other 4 tickets. If I knew, I would have kept it. So we head on to Union Station to get the express to Dodger Stadium. Get to Dodger Stadium. It's packed. It's great. I mean, it's the rally at the stadium to me was well organized. It was, you could go to your seats and you can watch on the big screen. You can watch the whole parade, and then sure enough, in the parade, the Dodger buses got stuck in traffic for a good, like, I think 20 minutes or so. So that happened, and then I think maybe that's why they were going down fast down the parade route because of that delay. So they ended up getting to the stadium, and the whole thing, I thought it was a good experience. I thought bringing Ice Cube out was kind of cool because he sang, I think, in game 2, and
So I know everybody was drunk, Carlos, but what the hell was Dave Roberts doing with Ice Cube?
yeah, he was getting down, man. I thought initially
It
when
was
I
an
saw him
interesting
coming
way
down,
of getting down, and I can't
yeah,
dance. I can't dance, and even I felt a little bit of shame there.
yeah, no comment on that, but I don't want to get in trouble. But anyways, it was cool. I thought Ice Cube was fun to watch him. You know, I guess he sold the show, and he had some crazy stuff he said. There was one moment where he said something, and I don't think anybody understood what he said, and the whole stadium went silent. And to this day, right now, I don't even know what the hell he was talking about. But overall, he was good. He was entertaining. Teoscar was very emotional, which is cool. I think as a Dodger fan, and we watched him all season long, we've come to like this guy and like his passion and like just the way the guy is. And I know we're going to talk about trades and who should we keep, who should we not get, or whatever, but he brings a different element to the team. Maybe his stats are not as good as Soto stats if we're going to compare him, but he brings like a different dynamic to the team, and he's a good guy. That was a good speech. I thought Kershaw, it was funny how Kershaw said, what, I didn't do shit for this, but you know what, I'm having a good time. This is the best. So it's cool. I appreciate that. And you know what, you guys, when I first met you guys, I had said it would be sad if Kershaw's not here to celebrate the World Series if he's somewhere else. And you know what? Sure enough, it came to fruition that the Dodgers win the World Series, and Kershaw is in some way part of it. So it was totally that was really cool. Otani, Yamamoto, Shy. Yeah, it's a trip to see how shy these guys really are. They didn't say much, and that's fine. That's fine. Who else? Just Kika stands out. The guy is he's kind of on a league of his own when it comes to his personality, and it definitely shows. So it was a great experience at the rally at Dodger Stadium. I definitely, if they win next year again, which I think they will, I would definitely do the rally again. And this time I'll get 8 tickets, and I'll save you a seat, Juan, for sure.
Please do. Babyface, so you were there from the press box in a press capacity. How was the rally for you?
Yeah, so I got there I think 8 a.m. So I didn't hit much traffic, not even going into LA. Like when I got off, you can tell there was traffic starting to build up on the streets, kind of going towards downtown. But I just went straight into Dodger Stadium, got there 8 a.m. and then just waited. They would show, the buses on the screens and stuff like that. And then when they showed up, but yeah, I mean, from there it was great. And I mean, I'd always kind of wanted to go to a parade, right? I want to be at a parade, kind of get that environment. When we got for the rally, is media was only allowed to go to either the parade route or the Dodger Stadium for the rally, I guess, because it's going to be really tough to try and get to both with all the traffic and stuff. So I chose the stadium. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was great from that capacity. You know, I think I don't know why in my mind I was thinking like, okay, it's going to be like a parade and they're going to go like a couple miles down the street or something like that, right? Like, say if they would have done something maybe from like Staples Center, driven all the way down or something, and then like a rally at City Hall or something like that. I'm thinking like kind of like 88 or whatever. Those days. That's kind of how they did it back then, right? Or even when the Lakers did it, I think they've had rallies like
That's what I thought they were going to do it, because if they did it at the Coliseum, they would have sold the Coliseum out.
Yeah, that's 100,000 people in the Coliseum. So I was thinking something like that. But even we spoke to Alex Vesia, one of the signings that took place over the weekend, and he was saying that they were going down, they rounded like some corner, and then they just saw like the sea of people, right? All these people that were there, waiting for them, and they went through it, and then like it was pretty quick. And once they were done, they were like, "We want to do it again." Like a lot of the players are saying, "We want to go back, we want to do it again," but they went back to the stadium. So that part was very small. It was maybe a couple blocks, right, at the most, like a mile, I think, and that was it. And then everybody went to the stadium, but it was kind of odd because I didn't notice this while I was at the stadium, but the top deck, they didn't sell tickets to the top deck. I saw from the camera view when they showed the top deck was completely empty, and then even the corner on left field, the last two sections up in reserve, I don't know why they didn't sell those. I mean, obviously it sold out, and they would have sold out those extra 15,000 seats. So I don't know why. There must have been a reason for that.
Yeah, look, the odds are with the number of Dodger fans that there are, there was a very strong likelihood you weren't going to get tickets to that rally. I just, for me, what was really frustrating is I kept waiting for it to refresh and kick me out of the virtual waiting room is just say it's sold out. Just say don't make me sit there for an hour, waiting to get, just say it's sold out, and I get it because look, there's a lot of Dodger fans here, and that's why I thought to myself, why don't you do it like what the Lakers did and put it in the Coliseum? You would have had 100,000 Dodger fans in that Coliseum to support it. But overall, it seemed like those dudes did not stop drinking since they won the World Series. My boy Jack Flaherty, I'm glad that he can laugh at himself because he was having a good time. I don't think there wasn't anybody on the Dodgers who wasn't drunk during the parade, but you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Anything else that you guys want to add about the parade before we start talking about what this team's going to look like next year? Canelo, you have no thoughts in the parade? You weren't jealous being on the East Coast going, I thought you were going to fly out here for it.
No, I'm going to fly out probably for opening week. Hopefully, we'll see what happens with that. But I am coming to LA for the 2025 season. TBD. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, what do you expect for the parade? The Dodgers haven't gotten a proper parade since '88. Obviously they were robbed of it from 2020. I knew it was going to be crazy there. A friend of mine at work, she has family in Los Angeles, and coincidentally, she went on a 2-week vacation out there. And I said, if they win the World Series, it's going to be pretty crazy in LA, right? And well, wouldn't you know it, the day that they win the World Series, she texts me and she says, yeah, I'm not ready for all this traffic and, everything that was going to transpire after that. And that's what she ended up dealing with. But, the players deserved it the most. I think the one where I kind of got touched up a little bit, Kershaw, he was like my favorite player growing up. Yeah, that's a very cliche type of answer, but even through his ups and downs and all that, to see him kind of tearing up, even him raise up the trophy. Because if you've read the book that Clayton McCullough or Andy McCullough wrote, you see that he kind of feels the burden of a lot of the losses that the Dodgers have suffered. So for him to I think that was more closure for him in 2020, being definitely a part of that team. And, he's going to be back next year. If he is healthy, it's another team that has another chance to get him a ring. But yeah, I think everything with the parade, I thought it was awesome that it was done at the stadium. I don't really see that. Every other team that's won, a championship around here, they always just do it throughout the city, and they go to, the town hall or city hall, and then they close it out there. Seeing the Dodgers do it in their own stadium kind of was a flex, in my opinion.
No, I thought it was great. I just feel like they needed a bigger venue. They needed a bigger venue. I would have loved to have seen them do it, because when the Lakers did it at the Coliseum, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be cool to hold more people, but it'd also be kind of odd. Like, they got to do it at the stadium, right? That's their stadium.
Yeah.
That's where they've done everything. So, and just getting back to what Cody's saying, some of the guys that were speaking, like, Kershaw and Teoscar. I don't know why there was like dust every time when those guys came up, like just dust, bunch of dust came into the press box. I don't know why. It was the weirdest thing.
I just wish that Kershaw would have done this. Have you guys seen that video that's going around where I'm ready to do, or I did my job, or I'm ready to do it, and then they have Tim Robinson comes in and goes, I didn't do shit. I wish Kershaw would have done that. I think he would have just brought the house down doing that. But yeah, look, it was a huge success. I agree with you, Babyface. As much as I would have loved to have seen them do it in the Coliseum, it makes sense to do it at Dodger Stadium. They know how to put on productions, and they did it. And like I said, I was on the streets, and I was regretting my decision. I think it would have been better to be in the Rally. And if they do win another World Series, you best believe I'm going to do everything possible to be at the Rally. There was a guy I was standing next to who had brought his 2 little kids in a wagon. And he said to me, he's like, it's been 36 years since the last parade. I said, I'm coming out here because you never know. It might be another 36 years by the time there's another parade, and I'm going to be too old for that. So, okay, that was the World Series. We're wrapping that up. Let's talk about what this team is going to look like next year. So we can't, I gave you almost 40 minutes of enjoying the Dodgers winning the World Series before we automatically now turn the page and are like, all right, well, what is this team going to look like next year? Canelo, I want to see how bold you are. Do you still believe in your theory about Juan Soto? We're going to start with Juan Soto, because I'm putting it out there. I think this whole Juan Soto thing is all bullshit. He's not coming to the Dodgers. He's a Boris client. This is the same thing they do every year. They're going to use the Dodgers to, pressure. And here's the thing. The Mets are already going to open check, whatever you want, Soto. I don't think Soto is coming to the Dodgers, but Canelo, is there a part of you that thinks if they did a Bryce Harper deal, Soto would come to the Dodgers?
I mean, I think if you look at the statements from Soto, the player himself, right off the bat, I got to say, a lot of people, and I've already seen it said in this comments, they're saying, oh, well, he wouldn't be good for the clubhouse. He wouldn't be good for the locker room. He is not known as, a team first player. Those are all just he said, she said. There is not a single player or actual official report done by a beat writer that says that Soto is not good for the clubhouse. Pretty much it's the complete opposite. Everybody says Soto is pretty much an upbeat guy, good teammate, and he is undeniably one of the best pure hitters in all of baseball and probably the last 30 years. And he is well on his way to being a guaranteed Hall of Famer. And the big reason why I think the Dodgers do need to be heavily invested in this is, one, they can afford him. And I know there's the Steve Cohen tax in terms of the CBT thresholds. Well, guess what? The Dodgers are going to be in that first tier for probably the next, 6 years at least, until Mookie Betts' contract's off the books, until Freddie Freeman's contract's off the books, until all these other contracts just slowly fall off. Obviously, if you don't know this by now, defer payments don't affect the CBT, so that's kind of a loophole around there. But they can afford him. And they can afford him in the traditional sense of a 14-year, 16-year straight-up deal, because Soto is only 26. So you want to sign this guy up until he reaches probably his late 30s and maybe 40-year-old season. But the Dodgers can get creative, like with Bryce Harper, because I think it would be dumb for Soto to sign a straight 14-year deal and stay in one location. I don't think it would be smart. I think he doesn't think it's going to be smart. So I think whatever deal he does sign, whether it is with the Mets and the Yankees, who I do still think he's more than likely going to go back to one of those two teams, But there's definitely going to be opt-outs in there because I don't think he wants to be hankered down to a place for too long because a lot can change between 1 year and because if Soto doesn't go back to the Yankees, what is the Yankees' identity? That's a team that wins the American League pennant and then they lose their second best hitter. They didn't make the postseason in 23, and that's with Judge. This is a guy that can change your franchise. The Dodgers should be invested. They're going to do their due diligence. That's the whole thing about this. They're going to see what the price is, see what the years he wants, see if they can make it work. And Soto's going to set the market because that's why they haven't re-signed Teoscar Hernandez right away, because they do have some general interest in Soto, and they should. And if you can add a guy like that, because he said he wants to win, he wants to be on a contender, he wants to have stability, he wants to get paid. The Dodgers check every single one of those boxes off. And I think a little bit of me kind of just wants to see them sign him because I don't really care what any haters have to say anymore. I mean, we're on our Yankees arc. We just need like one more title. We're just going to sign our version of A-Rod. Let's get it done. I would love to see it. Do I think it's going to happen? On my chances of likely to happen, probably like 10%. But I wouldn't be shocked if, say, out of nowhere, he does ink a deal with us. Just because the players we have, if Ohtani comes to a meeting and kind of just does his magic, what show GM is what we like to call it, maybe he can pull a deal or the strings there. But I think it would be smarter if the Dodgers kind of even out that money, because what we can get into this episode and the future episode or any of the articles we have on Dodgers Beat, there's a couple issues that the Dodgers need to solve first, specifically with the starting rotation. But I'm interested what you guys have to see.
Carlos the Gambler, I know you already said you're Team Teo, and I feel like this is what it's coming down to, right? It's either Juan Soto or Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah, look, I would say is this. If anybody in the chat is saying that Soto doesn't make your team better, I mean, then you don't know baseball. That's the truth. If he went to the Astros, the Padres, the wherever team he goes to, he makes that team better instantly. That's a fact based on his stats, on everything he's done. Two, he is a type of player that when you play against him, you don't like him because the way he does his little whatever he does when he bats and stuff.
The Soto shuffle, man. It's the Soto shuffle.
That's right. So it gets under people's skin. But if he was doing that in Dodger gear, I'm sure you're gonna boo him. No, of course not. You're gonna be rooting for the guy. So it's this whole thing. I've seen interviews on him during like Sunday night baseball games. He seems like a cool guy. He doesn't seem like a douchebag. And if the shuffle is getting under your skin, you know what? Don't be. You know how a lot of you guys said Dodgers were soft. Well, don't be soft yourself, man. It's not a big deal. That's just part of the freaking game now. That's just how the game is played. So look, if the Dodgers signed him, I wouldn't be unhappy. But what I will say is that you have to give him a lot of money, and the Dodgers have to fill a lot of holes, in my opinion. The starting rotation, maybe the outfield. So instead of getting one player, I would love to see the Dodgers get like 2-3 players for the same amount of money. Good players, not just mediocre players. So if that was my option, getting Soto or 3 good players, then yeah, I think I would lean towards the 3 good players.
Babyface, what is your verdict on Soto?
Yeah, I mean, like what you guys are saying. I mean, yeah, Soto's a great player, right? Probably on his way to the Hall of Fame. But when you say like, oh yeah, of course the Dodgers could use him, but I mean, do they are you saying like, oh, do they need this guy to win the World Series? Probably not, right? They just won the World Series. They didn't have him on the team, right? So obviously, yeah, if he comes to the team, he's gonna make the team better. But I mean, just for what they've done already, I'm leaning more towards let's keep Hernandez, right? Let's keep Teal on the team. We kind of already know what we got there. The thing also with Soto is it's likely, like you guys said, a really long deal, right? 10, 12, 14 years. And Dodgers already have a couple of those deals, right? They got Mookie, they got Yamamoto, they got Shohei in those long deals. One thing I don't want to see is them getting locked down with a lot of those long deals, because you never know what could happen right especially towards the end of those deals, right? You're committed a lot of money on declining players. So, if it was more of a, hey, 4 years, 5 years, really high AAV, I think that's also beneficial, like you said, for Soto, because, if for me, like when a guy ties himself down for like 14 years, say he goes to the Mets, how does he know that this team's going to be any good in 4, 5 years, right? 6 years, and this guy's going to be tied up to a team that's not very good, and now you're stuck there, right? Unless you got opt-outs and stuff. So, for me, this guy's 26 years old. He does like a 4 or 5 year deal. High, he hits the market again, and if this guy continues to play how he plays, he's even going to get more money, right? Than if I think that he signed a 14-year deal or whatever it is. He opts out in a couple years. I think he's going to get more money, but yeah, I don't really think he's coming to LA. I think I hope they focus on like Teoscar and some other needs, but don't take too long because Teoscar's on that open market right now and he can sign with anybody. And if they keep looking at Soto or whatever, if they're really interested there and he's not coming, you can end up losing a guy like Teoscar.
Yeah, and I think the Dodgers' aggressiveness of Soto could be justified, and this is how I'm thinking about it. You look down the line, they have Ohtani locked up for the next 9 years. He's the only impact left-handed bat on the roster after, I think, 2026? And then later, after Freddie Freeman's contract expires. So if they're looking into the future, like Mookie Betts will be entering his mid to late 30s at that time. So they already said they're moving him to the infield, so that opens up a spot in the outfield. They need another left-handed bat in the lineup, and Soto's 26. He can be that cornerstone for you while Shohei mans down DH and plays down his late 30s. You don't want to depend on Ohtani, as good as he is, to be your big impact left-handed bat. Soto would definitely be there, but I think Soto's going to be smart. I think he definitely puts in an opt-out by his age 30 season, I would say, which would be like a 4-year deal. If you're the Dodgers, I mean, you can still sign to a 14-year deal, say $650 million, but front load the contract. Front load the contract for the first 4 years, have him opt out, because then he can get the 4 years of high AAV, like $60 million per year, and then just get another contract like of 10 years with another team if he doesn't see it with the Dodgers. Like I said, there's a lot of avenues you can go with it. I don't think he's still going to come here. I wouldn't be shocked if he did, but it's just a curious, because nobody really knows what contracts he's going to get, because everyone keeps floating around 600, 700 million or getting close to there. I don't think he should get more than Ohtani in terms of what his contract was, because he doesn't play both positions, and he's not really good on defense either. He's really kind of going to be profiling as a DH type probably when he hits his 30s. So it's going to be interesting, because I think the Yankees don't want to give him that much money. I know the Mets have that much money, but they're ran by David Stearns, who's like the most penny pincher, GM you could think of. And he's going to be smart about their money as well. So we'll see what the Juan Soto market does. Teoscar, I think he's not going to wait around. And I already wrote on Dodgers Beat, The Athletic reported, there's at least 4 teams plus the Dodgers looking at him. So, and Jeff Passan said yesterday that he could be one of the first big free agents to fall, because I feel like he wants to find a home soon.
Look, here's my thing. If you believe everything that is being reported, because I do think that Juan Soto, I agree with you, Babyface, in the sense that I think Juan Soto needs to do a Manny Machado deal in the turn, because as much as everybody hates Manny Machado, he won. That dude won with his deal, because he got $300 million initially, and then he opted out and he got more money out of the show pods. So I could see Soto doing that, opting out in 3 or 4 years and then getting even a bigger payday. But what I don't want to hear, and I know, look, the Dodgers they keep everything close to the vest. Money should not be an issue with the Dodgers. It just shouldn't, because if you believe, they are printing money over there. Whether you hear it from the Japanese side with the economy, how much they're making off of Shohei, the fact that Shohei structured his contract the way he did, it was so the Dodgers could go ahead and bring more players. Now, if it's one look, and I think you said this, Canelo, bringing in Soto doesn't mean that you also can't bring in Willy Adames. It doesn't. Look, the Dodgers, and this is where we're going to get into it, because I feel like the Dodgers have so many options right now, and this is what's got to be scary for the rest of Major League Baseball, because when they announced that they're moving Mookie back into the infield, there's that great meme, and I think it was Doyers Dave that made it, with Gavin Lux going, what? Gavin Lux, even if they keep him, it's because they want depth and they love platooning. They love doing the righty lefty lineup. But if not, that dude is a trade chip. So what I am saying is, with the amount of money that they are making or the amount of money they're saving from Shohei's contract, they can go out there and get those other players. And it should not be, well, we're worried about our budget. It's just like, no, that doesn't work, man. You guys are making a lot of money out there, and you have the opportunity to make even more money if you keep winning. I keep seeing everybody just got all their Dodger merch, all their World Series merch. I'm seeing flags over there. It's like, oh, I didn't know you were a Dodger fan. All of a sudden, I had somebody walk up to me at my Dodger softball game, basically apologizing that they were a bandwagon Dodger fan. And I'm just like, you don't have to do that to me. I don't care. If you liked watching the Dodgers because you were an Angel fan and this is what it felt like to see a winning team, hey, do you, man? Be happy. But I think the big thing with them saying that Mookie's going back into the infield, there's a lot of options out there. Carlos the Gambler, I'm going to steal this from Blake Harris because I think Blake Harris said it. Has there been a Dodger who's wanted to be more of a Dodger than Teoscar Hernandez? I feel like Teoscar Hernandez is out there anytime you put a microphone in front of his face, begging the Dodgers, please re-sign me. Please bring me back. I want to be here.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Teoscar brings this X factor to the Dodgers. He's a good guy, and he had one of the best seasons he could have in his career. He wins the home run derby. He wins the World Series. He's got a clutch hit in the 5th game of the World Series. I mean, he did everything that he wanted to do, and now he wants to be a Dodger again. Look, I'm not opposed to bringing him back. I'm just saying that, if Soto was in the cards, it's just how can anybody deny that Soto's not a better player than Teoscar? Despite the fact that Teoscar is probably, we don't even know that. I didn't even want to make the comment that he's a better person in the dugout. We don't know that. Soto, we haven't seen Soto in the dugout. And what Cody said, the opposite of what everybody thinks about Soto, the writers, everybody's saying that he is a positive guy in the dugout. So look, it's going to be interesting what the Dodgers decide to do. But, I do want to touch back with what you're saying about the money. Look, the Dodgers, I know this personally. Man, my tickets went up 36%. I didn't renew. The next year because it went up a lot. It was almost like half of my increase. So I had like 6,300. It went up to like 8,700. I read on other posts that people were saying that when they were doing the relocation for season ticket holders, there was so many spots that were open, meaning that a lot of season ticket holders didn't renew. So you know what? Yeah, tickets are going up, but once it gets closer, I'm already debating whether or not to buy seats somewhere else, where it's less expensive, but I'll still be part of, going to all the games that I want to go to. So another thing that you touched on was the apparel. I mean, I saw on Facebook groups that people were spending $1,000 on World Series merch. Everybody, how much did you spend? 900. People were just posting 800, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500. So yeah, Dodgers are making money left and right. How much have they made in Ohtani already? They've made billions. So you're right, Juan. Dodgers can spend whatever they want. And so that's what I was saying. Instead of spending for one player, spend for 3 players. I like Adames. I would love to see him at shortstop. I would love to see Corbin Burns come to the Dodgers. I would love to see, he's not my favorite player, but I'll root for him. Blake Snell. We need a lefty in the starting rotation. We don't have a lot of lefties. I will take Blake Snell, Corbin Burns, and Adames over Soto anytime.
And that might end up happening, Carlos. That might end up happening. Like I said, I think and the Mad Dog Russo said this and said that, Soto is a mercenary. I don't know why Soto has this reputation because what I remember seeing is when the Yankees lost, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, Soto was the only one I saw stay out there and watch the celebration, watch the Dodgers celebrate. And that to me was a dude that wants to win and was pissed that he didn't win. And he was watching all of this. So why do we get this why he has this reputation of being a cancer or he's not good or he's not selfish? Yeah, he's not the perfect player. He is a defensive liability, but that dude is a hitting machine. Okay. Can you imagine you put that in the lineup with Shohei, with Mookie, with Federico? Like he's a dude, and like Canelo said, the likelihood of this happening, it's going to be really hard if Cohen does back up the Brinks trunk and says whatever you want. It's going to be really hard to say no to that. Plus, I also think he's an East Coast guy. I just feel like he's a different dude on the East Coast. The minute he left the show pods and he showed up in New York, I mean, the start of the season that he had, I mean, it was insane. I think he wants to be on the East Coast. I mean, it's the same reason why Trey Turner didn't want to stay out here with the Dodgers, right? He wanted to be closer to home. Like, when you're that good, you can do whatever you want. So, in the end, I think Soto, once he makes his decision, then the Dodgers, I think they go with the Oscar. Let's go down the list of who they're going to be keeping, right? I think they signed Teoscar. I think they definitely signed Walker Buehler. The fact that they did not extend a qualifying offer to me, I think was very telling, because the Dodgers don't want to lose Buehler for nothing. That they at least would have wanted to get a draft pick. So I think they're talking to Buehler, and I think they're going to make a deal. Look, they got Kike last year for $4 million. He is what Buehler and Kike did are dudes that these guys prove every year that the postseason, that's their season. And that's what the Dodgers need is, they got guys like Shohei, they got Mookie, they got Federico that can carry you through the regular season, but you need the Buehlers and you need the Kikes in the postseason. You need those guys that show up that have, ice in their veins. So I think they're bringing back Blake Trinan. I think the guys that are going to be on the short end of the stick, I think, unfortunately, Mariachi Joe is probably gone, and I don't think they're going to bring back Jack Flaherty. So, Canelo, your thoughts on who are they keeping?
I mean, if you look at their free agents, they have 8 total players that hit free agency. Teoscar Hernandez, obviously, they offered the qualifying offer, which was set at $21.05 million this year. He's respectively going to decline. He may consider it just because of the amount of money. He's still getting deferred money from his initial 1-year contract with the Dodgers. And who knows, maybe his market just doesn't really materialize, because I've seen a lot of reports of what his potential deal is going to be. And I'm actually kind of shocked, because I thought after the season he had, the postseason he had, I thought he was going to get at least close to $100 million. And most national pundits are putting him at under 80. And if that's the case, then that's definitely him re-signing back with the Dodgers. I think that would be a steal for a 3 to 4 year deal. So I do think the Dodgers end up working it out with him, because at the end of the day, no matter what the agent says or whatever, the player has the decision to say yes or no. And I think he wants to stay in LA. I feel like if he's a guy that goes to a team to be the guy or one of the guys, he's not going to succeed well. They tried it in Seattle and he ended up having one of the worst seasons of his career. In the Blue Jays, when he was there, he wasn't the guy. You have Bo Bichette, Vlad Jr., George Springer. Those were the guys that got the big contracts or came up through the system. So I think Hernandez may read that as well. Batting 5th in the lineup with all of these MVPs in front of you, it's hard to turn that down. Blake Trina's not turning down, the White House visit in May. He's definitely re-signing the 1-year deal. I think he owes the Dodgers a lot. They've kind of stuck with him. They gave him, multiple contract extensions through his injuries. I think he's going to repay that favor back. He's 39 years old, guys. He's got 2 World Series with the Dodgers. Money's not an issue with him. Years aren't an issue. He'll take a 1-year contract. Jack Flaherty, I'm like 50-50 on, because if you look at the Dodgers starting rotation on paper right now, as it is, you got Tony Gonsolin penciled in. You got Dustin May. I mean, can we even count on Dustin May getting more than 10 starts? I'm not sure I'm not even sure if he's still on the team. They may do some trading with him. So I'm 50-50 on Flaherty, but he wasn't that good on the Dodgers, guys. And I think we have to kind of open up our realization of that. He has had a couple good starts. He's one of those guys that needs extended rest. we saw what happened when he pitched on regular 5 days rest, kind of just imploded on himself. Had some drops and inconsistencies with velocity. That doesn't sound like a good recipe for success either. And I think the Dodgers are going to say, thank you. We got some guys coming back next year. We plan to be aggressive because I think they're going to get one of the top 5 starting pitchers on the market. So that kind of fills his spot. Joe Kelly, friend of the show. I didn't think they should have re-signed him last year, and I definitely think they're not going to re-sign him this year. But I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they're just going to say, "Hey, let's just run it back. We want the vibes team back again." And Kike Hernandez, I think he needs to be back. If you're going to give Miguel Rojas and extend him his player option or his clubhouse option for $5 million, I think Kike is deserving to be on the bench as well, because I don't think Gavin Lux has a spot on this team next year, and Gavin Lux can only play second base. We saw what they did with him in the outfield. It didn't work. He can't play shortstop, apparently. That's to the moon to him now, considering, it's weird because he came up as a shortstop. He's not going to be a third baseman. He's not going to be an outfielder. He's not going to convert to a pitcher, so there's really no spot on the roster for him. And I think Kike should be that guy that kind of would be the platoon bat, whether it's in the infield or the outfield. So they got options. I think they'll make it work with those guys, and I still expect them to be really, really aggressive in free agency. I think they're definitely going to get maybe 1 or 2 of the top, 10, 15 players on the market. I wouldn't be shocked.
Carlos the Gambler. So far, we're all in unison that Mariachi Joe is gone. Canelo is 50-50 on Jack Flaherty. Do you disagree with anything right now in terms of who we think they're bringing back?
No, I'm pretty much on board with what you guys are saying. Joe Kelly is a fan favorite. We know that. They got his bobblehead and all this stuff they give away. Everybody loves him. But is he good for the team? As a player, not as a amusement. And I don't want to be rude or anything. I know he's a friend of the Carne Asada here, so I just think that it's I would not re-sign him for sure. Flaherty, I'm more like 70-30, like 70 not to keep him and 30 that they'll keep him. I see Max Fried, Blake Snell, Corbin Burns. Those are better options all the way. Flaherty was good. Don't get me wrong. He throws. He can pitch a lot of innings, but he couldn't even go that far in the game. He couldn't even pitch deep into the game, and he was like good one game, and the next game he was bad. Then he'll get some rest. He was good, and then he was bad. So I didn't like that inconsistency. So no, I would say no on Flaherty. Trinan all the way. I mean, Trinan is he's a good guy, and he's done more than what we expected him to do. So definitely Trinan. Kike, another guy who is just like this character out there. But you know what? Like you said, like Cody said, he performs in the playoffs, and that's what we need. And so I would definitely say yes on Kike. We know Kershaw, he's a free agent, but I'm sure he'll be back if he wants to keep playing. It's very similar to last year. Though he's going to be on the IL for a while, so he'll be back. I think that's not a problem. Who else? Who else is left? Is that it? Who else?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, you would bring Kike back, right?
I would bring him back, definitely. Bring him back. And I think Joe is the one that I wouldn't bring back. And it's Teoscar.
And what about Flaherty? Would you bring back Flaherty?
I personally would not bring him back. No, we need lefties. We need some lefties. I would go after Max and Snell and get 2 lefties. We need some lefties.
I want to hit up my old softball buddy, Andrew Atherton, super Dodger fan, because he read my mind because I was thinking about this. Andrew says create a trade package with Lux for closer from Milwaukee, Devin Williams, the airbender. I was very surprised that the Milwaukee declined the option on the airbender. I was thinking the same thing, Andrew. Babyface, do you differ on anything? Would you? It seems we're all in unison on the same players. The only thing is Flaherty. Would you bring back Jack Flaherty, or would you go ahead and pursue some of these guys out there like a Blake Snell, who I think Blake Snell is tailor-made for this team because he'll throw 100 pitches in 5 innings. And that's what this starting rotation does. Just give us 5. Just give us 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in on pitching. Dodgers need pitching, right? We've seen how, for whatever reason, right, all their pitchers end up hurt and they're struggling to get to the finish line. So if you can bring back Flaherty on like a 2-year deal with an option or something, bring him back, right? Go get a Blake Snell. Go try and get a Corbin Burns. Try and just load up on as many pitchers as you can get. I mean, we've already kind of heard. We haven't even mentioned that one guy from Japan, right? What's his name? Rōki Sasaki, right? That we keep hearing about. Rōki Sasaki.
You just shot yourself in the leg by saying
Rōki Sasaki, right? We've been hearing his name for.
You've become a meme now, dude.
For what? We've been hearing his name for what, 2 years now, right? Rōki Sasaki, he's gonna come. He's coming right now. It seems like he's coming. So if they end up, I'm still kind of 50-50 on that. Like if he would end up coming, say he does come to the Dodgers, right? So now you got another pitcher, right? And if they get him, which another Japanese pitcher, right? You're gonna have Shohei pitching next year. You have Yamamoto pitching it. So these guys are used to going on 6 days, right? So are they gonna go with that?
Well, Gomes already said.
Right?
Gomes
yeah,
said they're going to.
So,
they said they are. Yeah.
To what Cody was saying, right? If you got Flaherty, right, now you give him an extra day, so he's not going on normal rest, right? So you have that 6-man rotation. The Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, all those guys, you don't know if they're going to be around, what to expect from them. Same thing with Glasnow. Is Glasnow, how's he going to bounce back next year, right? What concerns me is, okay, yeah, maybe his elbow feels better now, but what's going to happen in 2 months, right, into the season, 3 months? Is his elbow going to start barking again?
Well, that's what happens with his elbow. He said he had the MRI on it again, and they said it's fully healed, but what happens with an elbow strain is as soon as you start throwing again,
exactly,
it starts to hurt. So that's why we'll see what happens.
Stone is gone for next season. River Ryan is gone for next season. Kershaw, we don't know when Kershaw is going to be back. So load up on pitchers. If you can get Flaherty and get some other guys, load up and kind of just see what you got, right? If you get a Rōki, you put them all in there and kind of see what happens, what gets you through the season.
Michael Negrete, I'm on record as saying that they're re-signing Buehler. All right, let's talk about Rōki. Okay, because it's still not a given. I know everybody thinks that Chiba is going to go ahead and post him. My question in regards to Rōki is this. I'm going to you, Canelo. Are you comfortable with having 3 Japanese pitchers on a rotation when you know they can only pitch once a week?
I think if what Brandon Gomes said at the general manager meetings last week and what Andrew Freeman said kind of at the celebration, where there just really isn't an innings eater anymore. There really isn't that workhorse guy. Yes, there's like 1 or 2 pitchers out there, but those guys are already locked up, or they're so far away from being free agents that they're just not even a thought in the Dodgers' minds right now. And this is something we preached all last season too. And I'm glad that they're going to it. I think everybody's bought into the idea of what the Dodgers are going to do pitching wise next year, because just the amount of injuries they did have. Maybe they said, maybe we do have to take a little bit back on the workload. The offense and the pitching depth will help us out. 6-man rotation is the way to go. That's the future of baseball. We've mentioned that before. Carlos and I have been super big on it. Hopefully by the next time they do the CBA negotiations in 3 years, they probably may add an extra roster spot to incorporate another pitcher on the team, because there's just something you have to do with the injuries with pitching in baseball right now. And if you're going to add 3 Japanese starters, and Rōki Sasaki, as good as he is, he has not been a workhorse in Japan. He has dealt with a lot of injuries. He's missed a lot of extended time. I think the most innings he's pitched in the MLB, where his most healthiest season was 122 innings pitched, which wouldn't really crack major league top, 50. It certainly would look really good on the Dodgers starting staff. I mean, their top arm had 140 innings pitched, and that was Gavin Stone. But I think they can make it work, but it is a risk to have 3 guys from Japan. And it's also a risk to have 3 guys that have super similar pitch selections. All of them throw a splitter. All of them throw some type of, sweeper or curveball or slider. and they all have that fastball. The split finger is really what separates Japanese pitchers from a lot of, American pitchers, because it's just not a pitch that is very common in the States, but it is in Japan. And say if you have all three of those guys lined up in a row, you may start to see that a little bit. But the Dodgers are going to get creative in the pitching department. I still do think they do get Sasaki. We can talk about, depending on when he's posted, whether it's in the 2024 international signing period or the 2025 signing period. I think the two sides already have an agreement, and they're just doing the due diligence to meet the teams. That way, Sasaki doesn't get bad press. I'll sign with a smaller market team. No, he's not. He's going to make way more money in terms of endorsements in Los Angeles, playing with, two of the top Japanese players, playing with his idol, playing for the team that he grew up rooting for. It's the worst kept secret in baseball. It's honestly even worse than when we all know Shohei Ohtani was going to sign with the Dodgers last offseason. I don't think there was a soul that thought he wasn't going to leave Los Angeles. So, I think he'll be on the team, and it'll be interesting to see how, if he does sign with us, what they do with him, because he is a minor league. He technically would have that minor league deal. He's an amateur free agent. What would they do to get him up to being a major league pitcher? Because he's still going to be a work in progress. He's only 23 years old.
Only 23.
But you people call me the Prince of Darkness. Doom Sal coming in here. Sasaki will have Tommy John within a year.
He
Damn
will,
Doom
and that's
Sal.
fine. That's fine. You get him for
Doom
the 6
Sal.
years. You pay for the surgery. You get him right. Doesn't matter if you can sign this guy for $6 to $13 million would be like the max of like signing bonus is what he would get.
And someone mentioned in chat, we forgot Bueller, right? Obviously, I'd bring back Bueller. Like, just give me all the pitchers, right? Give me all the pitchers.
Carlos the Gambler. I thought Darvish was a guy that Sasaki looked up to. I know there's some people you don't. I think what's crazy is right now the Seidler death for the show pods is going to be a real decision maker, because what you're hearing, what you're hearing is that maybe those other people that are in that ownership group don't feel like Seidler did and want to spend money. So I know Sasaki may not cost a lot of money because he's going to be signed to a minor league contract. But are you as convinced as Canelo that Sasaki is a done deal to the Dodgers?
I do. Well, it's funny. First, I want to address Doom Sal's comment with Tommy John next year for Sasaki. Well, you know what, Doom Sal, when he comes back after Tommy John, he's probably gonna be throwing 105. So there. You know what? I do. I think the Dodgers. You know, we all know baseball is a business, all sports, and I think the Dodgers know what they have in the Japanese community, and I think just feeding them another player is just going to boost that audience even
They
larger.
definitely know, Carlos, because you know what's underneath the right field pavilion. Have you seen it?
No, what is it?
The wall of Japanese players.
See, I didn't know
Have
that.
you seen that, Babyface? Underneath the right, over by where the speakeasy is, the Tommy Lasorda speakeasy, they have a wall with Hideo Nomo, with Kuroda, and it's just like, I never saw them do one with all the Mexican players or all the Latino players. That is exactly what Carlos is talking about. They are playing to all our Japanese friends who show up in the parking lot with a suitcase because they're either on their way to the airport or they just got in from the airport to come see the Dodgers. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Carlos.
and then I don't want to get into too much, like, with politics or with like just little things, but the Japanese audience, man, they're more inclined to spend right now. The demographics has changed. I go to batting practice all the time, and now when you go to Dodger Stadium, it's huge Japanese crowds of people that come in early. They're doing the tours. It's so the Dodgers are feeding to that audience, and it's fine. It's a business. I get it, and so that's why I agree with Cody. I think Sasaki, the Dodgers are going to put whatever they have to do to get him. I'm sure in the next couple of weeks we're going to see Ohtani go down to Japan and take a picture with him, just like we saw where what's his name with oh my gosh, forgot his name, the guy from the Padres, go down there with his glove to go play catch with him or something like that, or whatever it was. But yeah, I think Sasaki will be a Dodger, and look, it's I think it's fine. I think that I'm not worried about about him pitching. He needs extra rest. We've been saying this forever. 6-man rotation is the future of baseball. There's too many pitchers getting hurt. I don't understand why they haven't done it sooner. I mean, if they have to adjust their like during their days off, how to throw and all that stuff, that seems so minor. It's just that's why you this is I'm telling you that's the future of baseball. We're going to see 6-man rotations throughout the league eventually. Regarding Bueller, yeah, definitely bring Bueller back. I mean, he did so well in the playoffs. Even when he came back, he was still throwing fast. He just his control. Of course, the guy just had his second Tommy John. He wasn't going to be the same. But at the end, he started throwing more breaking pitches. He knows that he's not a fastball pitcher, and he said that before. So look, bring him back on a 3-year contract. I don't know whatever they can negotiate, but I would take him. So that's 4 solid pitchers. I don't like Goslin personally. I liked him initially. I don't think he's a good for the rotation. I'm not a go on that. I don't like May. Who knows what May can do? I mean, he's got the throat issue. He had the arm issue. What's going to happen next? He's going to have a leg issue next. I mean, I would just not. May is not. He's not reliable. So that's why they have to go to the market and get 2 more pitchers. And it's either going to be Max Fried, Snell, or Corbin Burns and Max Fried or something. The Dodgers have to spend on that side.
And we haven't even mentioned they still have Bobby Miller in their back pocket. This is the guy who I'm still extremely high on. He dealt with shoulder and knee injuries last year, and he's definitely going to get another crack at least to make the roster next year because they're going to need guys to pitch some of these innings at the beginning of the year with people being on the IL. Dodgers have options. They're still going to be aggressive, and they'll make it work. Like Roger said, I guarantee you at least 10 of these guys are going on the IL at some point in the year. They're going to play they're going to go the carousel ride with, starting pitchers going around. It's just the Dodgers baseball. And like Mike said in the comments, honestly, Sasaki wouldn't be a Dodger until he gets Tommy John surgery. That's how you're indoctrinated with the Dodgers. You have to get Tommy John when you come and join the team.
Well, that's what some other fans are saying, like right from Padres or whatever. It's like he doesn't want to go to the Dodgers because he's gonna have shoulder surgery or Tommy John or whatever. That's what they're gonna do to him.
He's already injured. That's my whole theory with it. And Japanese media, I've been indoctrinated in that right now. A lot of beef between the U.S. and Japan right now in terms of media. Guys should kind of look into it. They're pretty angry that Sasaki's getting posted, and for good reason. They're losing a really good player over there to come to the States. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the reports is that he is playing injured. He's playing to get a contract in Major League Baseball because he wants to play over here in the U.S. That's been his whole shtick since he signed with his Japanese team, and they've kind of been going back and forth. But everybody gets surgeries now. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he has a shoulder or an elbow injury. And I think the Dodgers, you still go in because if you sign him, you get him for 3 years pre-arb, and then you get him for the 3 years of arbitration, which is a lot less than what you would have to pay for him if he was posted 2 years later.
Flaco is bringing up Crochet. I know Babyface has some thoughts on Crochet. I mean, not Babyface. Canelo, you have thoughts on Crochet.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to write about this more probably in the next couple of days. But yeah, Crochet is a huge red flag for me. Don't like it. I don't like – if you want to talk about what's been reported of how the player feels, the huge red flag for me was when he said he wouldn't approve a trade or go to that team if he didn't sign an extension. That clearly means to me that either he's not confident in his workload or his health for the future. And then I think that's kind of why the Dodgers kind of shifted gears last trade deadline and went with Jack Flaherty because he's the more sure bet one year deal, get him for what they needed, and they end up working out in the end. They win the World Series. But I mean, Crochet's second half, I mean, his strikeouts, his walks, they were all still great. The hits, it's just his ERA skyrocketed still. I mean, maybe he lost a little bit of motivation playing for a White Sox team that ended up breaking the, all-time loss record for modern Major League Baseball. But I don't know. There's just a lot more impact lefties on the market. And this is where I say, use your money, not your prospects. You save your prospects for the deadline where you don't have the ability to use your money to save you. And I think Andrew Freeman likes thinking that way too, because One we've already mentioned on the show. Freeman's a prospect hunter. He doesn't like trading away guys unless he wins the deal. And the White Sox are very hell-bent. They want a top 5 prospect from our system, and they've had their eyes on Dalton Rushing the entire time from what I've read online, whether it's Heyman reporting it or Jeff Passan. Rushing's the guy, and I don't want to part with Rushing. I would rather him stay for the team in the future. Just use that money and sign Blake Snell or Max Fried if you really want an impact lefty. So that's the way I would go.
Babyface, how are we doing on time? Do you want to get into the fact that all the Dodger players are showing up in shopping malls across America and the stadium renovations, or do you want to save that for next week?
Touch on both. I mean, real quickly on some of these guys that are showing up. If you guys haven't noticed, a lot of these players are doing like their World Championship tour. They're going to a lot of the spots, and we've been at a couple. So if you want to meet some of these players, it does cost money for most of them. But if you're trying to get a memorabilia from 2024, check out our site. We're posting, or you can follow them on Instagram. It's a company called One Way JC. Just search that. Or Legends Attic. That's the one that Hershey is involved with. Miguel Rojas will be there on Friday. They're in Claremont. We'll be there as well for that. And then I know all the ladies love Anthony Banda. He's coming back to the one with One Way in a couple weeks, and they just posted Walker Buehler is going to be there as well. So, like I said, a lot of these players are kind of just doing the tour, going out, meeting fans. You had Kike Hernandez, Mookie Betts. They were at Dick's and Raising Cane's. So all these guys are out there just kind of showing the love, of this 2024 season. We've gone to talk to them, and that's what they're saying. Basically, they're out there because of that. They saw what the Dodger fans have done this year, and for so many seasons prior to this, so they're out, gladly just going out there and meeting fans. But yeah, if you want to get into the renovations, kind of what's going in for next year.
Yeah, so before we get to the renovations, I just want to add in terms of all these Dodger I feel like Mookie catches a lot of heat. Like a lot of people hate Mookie. Well, there were a lot of people that showed up at his Dick signing. There was literally people were in line 24 hours before that signing. They slept on the sidewalk overnight. So when everybody, craps on Mookie, I'm just like, well, there's a lot of people out there who like Mookie. Regarding the renovations with the stadium, so it looks like they are expanding the clubhouse. So my question to you, Babyface, do you think they're still going to put Federico and Mookie by that polishing machine or whatever that cleans the cleats, your favorite sound during every post-game interview?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they put that area of the cleaning of the cleats like somewhere further down so you don't hear it in the clubhouse, because every time you're getting an interview with one of these guys, you hear a drill. It's like you're at a dentist. You're just hearing, and if you go look at some of the videos that we posted on YouTube, and go look at the comments, like a third of them were like, "What's up with that drill? What is up with that drill?" And I don't know. And it happens every game. But yeah, I mean, the Dodgers did just renovate their club. Well, I guess it's been a while. Maybe been like 10, 12 years, right, when they last renovated it. So I don't know what they're gonna make it bigger, or I don't know. It's pretty modern. When you go in there, it doesn't look like it's outdated, but looking forward to see what they do there. And then it looks like I don't know what they're doing with the seating on kind of that dugout seating. They removed both sides, right? They're completely gone. They've leveled it, so it's gonna be all new seating there. I don't know if it's gonna be more seat. I don't think it'll be more seating. Maybe it's going to be more expanded seating, a little bit more comfort. Type level seating. I don't know.
Look, they need to make the clubhouse bigger with all the people they're going to sign. So they need more lockers in there. Canelo, Carlos the Gambler, do you guys have any thoughts on these renovations?
Go, Carlos.
I was going to mention not the renovation. I was going to mention Tommy Edman signing too. Up in my neck of the woods in the San Fernando Valley in Van Nuys on November 30th. So if you guys are interested, there's one at Cardboard Legends for Tommy Edman. So yeah, the Dodgers are showing up everywhere. It's kind of cool. They're, I wouldn't say they're giving back to the community because they're pretty expensive. You got to pay like a couple, like 130, $150 for autograph, World Series ball. And if
I mean,
that's
it
what you're
depends
into.
on the guy. I mean, if you want, I know all the ladies want Anthony Banda, and he's probably like $50. But
Yeah,
it was funny because I was there for Flaherty this past weekend. I kid you not, the photo op line is all women. Pretty much every single person in that line was a girl. Every single one.
You know what? Lady Bonda's probably pissed right now. She's over this.
She was there.
over
She was sitting there, on the side of the table, just hanging out, and she'd have all these people come, and they'd be telling, like, basically drooling for Anthony Bonda and like wanting him to like take off his shirt and do the signing, shirtless. And she's just there chilling. She's like totally cool with it.
Wow, I did not know that. Canelo, you had anything on the stadium, the expanding of the clubhouse?
Yeah, I think, I've my only times being to Dodger Stadium, the 2 times I've been, it's post the renovations that they did after, 2020. So they got everything revamped in the center field plaza, all that. I think it's hard to maintain a ballpark that's as historic and as old as Dodger Stadium is. And it's important to not change too much. And I think the Dodgers have done a really good job in that. And I read a whole article, I think, can't remember where it was from, but it was kind of going over the designer that's doing all these renovations, kind of how they want to keep the history, but also make it more modern. And you have to think about it now. Like when you go to the NFL, a lot of the stadiums that are new, it's not a lot about the football game anymore. It's about the amenities and the experience. And you see that with, the Cowboys stadium, that's pretty much just a nightclub. The Raiders new stadium in Vegas, that's kind of just like a club with a football game going on behind it. And I think the Dodgers, they see the crowd and the traffic that they're going to get. I mean, like, hell, I'm trying to come back out over there. We already mentioned all the Japanese followers that are following the team, or Ohtani that want to come out there. You want to have a good time. And sometimes when I go to baseball games, I'm not watching the game, kind of just drinking, eating food, kind of walking around, seeing all the scenery. When I see videos of the clubhouse, I think it looks a little outdated. I think it looks really tight and a lot of walls or like pillars in there. I think that just needs to be open. I think they need to find some way to open that all up for you guys, especially when you guys are doing the player interviews. I can imagine it's probably pretty frustrating to get all those done. And, you always got to make updates. You got to see what some of these teams do, like Wrigley Field. Like I think a couple of years ago after the Cubs won their World Series, they did the same thing. They renovated their clubhouse. Go check the before and after pictures in that one. It looks completely different. They got like flat screen TVs everywhere, neon lights. Everybody has their own like spacious lockers. I think that's what the Dodgers make it look luxurious. You're the Dodgers. You're worth, I think when I checked a Forbes article the other day, they're worth $6.6 billion now. They're about to catch the Yankees in probably 5 to 10 years, I would say, because the Yankees were valued at 7.5 last year. So spend the money. Just spend the money. You guys got a surplus of money. Don't hold it. Put it on the players. Put it in the stadium. Put it for the fans. Put it to the players.
And Danny mentioned about Jack Flaherty, that her friend was pissed because he was wearing his black shades during the entire thing, hour and a half signing.
Because he was still drunk.
Yeah, he had his black shades on throughout the thing. Also did meet a couple of listeners actually. Ravine Queen, she's on Instagram. She found me. I don't know how she noticed me, whatever. Like she's like, "Hey, Roger," and like turn around, I'm like, "Hey," she's like, "I listen to every show. I watch every show. I know all you guys." Canelo got a shout out, so thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Like I'm rarely in front of the camera, so I was kind of surprised that like somebody like picked me out. But thanks for listening.
I want to give a quick shout out to Chris Frosaker because he gets this show and he knows how to get his comment read on this show. Banda has the ladies like ravishing Rick Rude. Cut the music. Chris Frosaker for the win. Chris, the only thing that was missing was, I want all you fat, sweaty Indiana hedgehogs to keep your mouth shut as I show ladies what a real man looks like. So that's going to do it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We're glad we're back.
One quick last note, and I sent this to you guys. old friend of the Carne Asada, Cochito Cruz, Luis Cruz, is back with the Dodgers organization. He is joining the Dodgers Spanish broadcast team. Essentially, I'm soon taking Fernando's role as a color guy, right? Going to be on the broadcast. So good luck to him. Hope to have him on the show a couple of times and get him. He's always Luis Cruz to me. I know probably right. A lot of fans probably won't remember his tenure as a player, but that dude was always the coolest dude to me. Every time, like when I was in the clubhouse back in those days when I started going, that dude like would see me, and he's a dude that he first saw, hey, what's up? And then every time I went after that, he'd always come over and talk to me. So like really cool dude. And I saw him at the alumni weekend a couple months back. Saw me, hey, what's up? So like really cool dude. We've had him on the show and look forward to having him. Now he's working for the Dodgers, so hope to have him on some more.
Yeah, congratulations to Cochito. So Michael Negrete is asking about the Danny Duffy Award. I was going to give myself the Danny Duffy Award because I picked the show pods to beat the Doyers. But if you guys have any other nominees for the Danny Duffy Award, go ahead and put them in the chat now because I'll give you a couple of seconds. If not, I'm gonna take the Danny Duffy Award.
I have a nomination.
All right.
The stupid idiots at Yankee Stadium that tried to steal that took the ball out of Mookie's glove.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yankee fan. Okay, so well, I'm in the lead right now. Denny votes for me as well. So I'm up 2-1 on Yankee fan. So all right, guys, start getting your votes in, nominations. If you have any other nominations other than Yankee fan and myself. Oh, Verdugo for Danny Duffy. Okay. That's a good one there, Dennis. All right, let's keep them in there, guys. 40 more seconds here. So far, I am still in the lead. Oh, Roy Estrada with Max Muncy, 14 strikeouts in the World Series and no hits. That's a tough one. I'm still in the lead, guys. We got 30 more seconds. No one's been able to overtake me. Oh, Danny Duffy. Okay, for Aaron Judge in that air. Yeah, that one's up there. Another vote for Verdugo. So Verdugo, oh my gosh, MP with Alana Rizzo.
I like the Fat Joe one.
Okay, so Canelo's coming in with Fat Joe. MP for Alana suggesting that we trade Edmund. Yeah, that was a tough one. All right, guys, let's get these final votes in so far. Thanks, Roy. I really appreciate that. So right now it's between Verdugo and me. So Jorge, fifth inning to the Danny Duffy. We need you guys to break the tie. Well, Simeon did vote for me. So all right, here we go, guys. We're calling it. I'm gonna be the winner of the Danny Duffy Award. Damn, Fat Joe made a late run, but it's over, guys. Sorry. I am winning the Danny Duffy Award. So again, if you guys want information on the Dodgers, make sure you guys are following Dodgers Beat. Canelo and the rest of the writers are dropping stuff constantly. Dodgers Beat is also giving you guys information on signings, where these players are going to be showing up wearing their shades. Canelo, is there anything you want to promote from Dodgers Beat in terms of articles?
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of want an insight of what we are thinking, particularly me, because this is my favorite time of the year, if you guys can't tell. Off season, it's kind of where you get to kind of be creative, think outside the box with some of these things. I wrote an article on Max Fried and Blake Snell. That seems to kind of be like a debate that a lot of people are having. Which lefty would you rather have? Because I do think one of those guys will be a Dodger. So I'm interested to see what everybody else thinks about that. My takes on there. We're trying to do a couple other things as well. I think we're going to start doing some player grades or player reviews. Try to get everybody on that at least appeared in a game or two. So there's a lot of players. I think there's like 40 pitchers, like 30 position players. So we'll see where that gets us. But it'll be interesting. But we're going to try to have at least 1 to 2 articles every day.
And for the new people that we have that joined us, it was my bad. I did not explain what the Danny Duffy Award is. On the lives, we'd like to end the show by giving a Danny Duffy Award. And that's the award goes to the person who catches the most unsuspecting, unwarranted strays. So that's what the Danny Duffy Award is. So again, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. And make sure you're following Dodgers Beat and following us on social media. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Bleed Lows podcast, En Vivo with the Carne Asada. This episode was brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. Nos vemos, everybody.